So the last couple of weeks I've been doing some best cat food brands on Amazon, Chewy, Petco. Shout out to Lydia for commenting, do Petsmart next. So the first best cat food brand at Petsmart that we'll look at is in the raw category. So this one is frozen raw and freeze-dried raw. The brand is called Instinct. This is the only option that I could find at Petsmart online, so we kind of have no choice. But they do have a separate product for adults and kittens, and it's clearly marked on the label. Now I will say that frozen raw is better than freeze-dried raw because of moisture, but if freeze-dried raw works better for you, that's still better than canned and kibble because you can rehydrate it with water. So this one is called chicken recipe. That word recipe means the minimum requirement of chicken is 25%. The maximum that it could be is 94.9%. When we look at the meat ingredients, we have chicken, including ground chicken bone, chicken liver, chicken heart. So that's typically the base that you'll see with most freeze-dried raw and some frozen raw brands as well. So meat with ground bone, heart, and liver. Heart is a muscular organ that supplies taurine. Liver is a secreting organ. Ideally, we would have more, but especially when it comes to chicken, this is typically what you will see. Now, some cons is that there is clay, which is an anti-caking agent. I agree that cats should not consume clay, but it's necessary in the food production, and frankly, these are unavoidable until you feed homemade raw. This is still a good transition food to help get you to homemade raw. Other cons would include carrots, apples, butternut squash, but they do tell us on their website that the calories from carbs are only 9% of the food. And we also have an inorganic phosphate, which has been shown in studies to cause renal issues in cats. Again, I completely agree, not ideal, not perfect, but if you're looking for a transition food that's available at your local pet store, this is the best one that you're going to find. The best wet cat food at PetSmart is called Tiki Cat, and I want you to pay attention because Tiki Cat has a lot of different products. So specifically the one that I think is the best is called After Dark. It's a dark can, and the product is chicken and beef recipe. So that word recipe is the same rule that we just looked at. The composition is 25% minimum, the max is 94.9%, and that composition is chicken and beef combined. So when we look at the meat ingredients, we have chicken, chicken broth, chicken liver, chicken gizzard, chicken heart, beef, and tuna oil. So this product, specifically the After Dark chicken and beef recipe, is the one that I found to have the most meat ingredients with a lot of variety. Basically, the rest of the ingredients are all synthetic supplements, including an inorganic phosphate. But again, this is the best wet food that I could find at PetSmart. And again, these cons are unavoidable until you feed homemade food because you have control of the ingredients and how it's made. We have no control over what commercial cat food brands do. But again, this is still the best that you're going to find at PetSmart. And if you're looking to upgrade on the transition to raw, this would be a good pick. Another con that I would say is that the fat is very low. It's at 2% and it should be more like 6%. Ideally, you would have half the amount of fat when compared to protein. Give me a polydactyl thumbs up if this is helpful so far, so more cat parents that want to feed their cats better can find this video. Thank you. The best dry cat food from PetSmart is also from Tiki Cat, their Born Carnivore deboned chicken and egg recipe. Before we look at the product, I just want to clarify that I would never feed any type of dry food, no matter who makes it, no matter what the ingredients are, long term. But let's say I adopt a cat, he's very addicted to kibble. I've already tried freeze-dried raw, I've already tried wet food, fresh food, nothing worked. I would try to use one of these better quality dry foods, just as he's a little antsy, he doesn't like to be on camera. I would try one of these dry foods. He's like, I'm not gonna be on camera. I would use one of these dry foods just as a transition food, help my cat get used to eating better quality ingredients, and then from there, go to wet food or freeze-dried raw. He does not want to be on camera. So this one has a separate product for adults and kittens, and it is clearly marked on the label. And that word recipe is the same product name that we looked at before. So 25 to 94.9% chicken and egg combined. So for the meat ingredients, we have deboned chicken, chicken meal. Not ideal. I completely understand and agree that word meal could be a rendered ingredient, and that could contain 4D meats, dead, diseased, dying, and disabled. Definitely an ingredient that we want to avoid, but definitely unavoidable when we're looking at dry cat foods. So kind of have to make a compromise if you're going to feed dry cat food. This is the best that I could find. Then we have dehydrated chicken, dried egg products, not very specific. I mean, it would be nice if they told us if it was the egg white, the egg yolk, the egg shell, which is it. Then we have natural chicken flavor. That word natural just means that it came from an animal or a plant. It doesn't mean that it's good quality. Then we have chicken fat. Typically they add that as a flavor enhancer palatant, and then salmon oil. So at least there aren't any mystery ingredients. I mean, the meals definitely, because we don't know which parts of the chicken were used, but at least they say chicken meal instead of meat meal. This is kind of difficult for me, but I mean, if you're looking for the best dry at PetSmart to use as a transition food, this is the best that I could find. And I'll say that this is the best that I can find because there's meat only in the product name, there's meat ingredients other than just meat byproduct meal, and the carb amount is 19%, which is still higher than the cat needs, but it's about half the amount of the average with dry foods, which is 33%. I've even seen as high as 49%. So 19% is still definitely a step up. And since it still has some carbohydrates, it would be useful if your cat's addicted to very high carbohydrate kibble. So you can make those baby steps, transition from the dry food to this dry food, has a little lower carbohydrate amount, but still just enough so that your cat might not realize the difference, but better quality ingredients, and that'll help the transition to wet or raw. And this one also doesn't have any inorganic phosphates. Definitely check out my transition plan right over in Meow. It's specifically formulated for picky cats. Thank you so much for watching.